Here we go. Nwpo versus Tempoh. The road to Nwpo versus Mawkzy continues. It's been a long road. This is the 7th opponent that both Nwpo and Mawkzy have played against. They're playing for $1,000 in an attempt to get a better record against the same 10 opponents as the other does. Now, you might be wondering, why aren't they just playing each other? Well, we're saving that. We're saving that for the World Championships that are happening in September on LAN in France in front of the French fans. The home team, or the home crowd for the home team in Mr. Mawkzy. Going to be very intense. We want to keep their skills as sharp as possible, and that is why we have come up with this format for these guys to play against each other. Nwpo is playing against Tempoh after he just played Mawkzy, so you should see that either in the previous parts of this stream, or if you are watching on the YouTube, probably released the day before. Feel free to check that one out, because we are going to talk about the results there, because Mawkzy was able to get a sweep. Their last couple opponents, Stizzy and now Tempoh, it seems like they have been able to handle business and get sweeps. Something that we were expecting to see probably a lot of out of these two. So getting into form right around the right time, as Tempoh cannot quite save this one and ends up doubling it off his own post to make it 2-1. You should start doing interviews with the players and let them talk about which one played the best. That feels like it'll be obvious based on how many games they're able to win, right? Or how many goals are scored. I do love listening to players' opinions, though. I felt like EWC did a really good job about that. They did a lot of talking to players, a lot of talking to coaches. Nice interception here from Nwpo to make it 3-1. Okay, yeah, I think Release Rope 6 did say you should interview the players to let me talk about which one played the best, presumably Release Rope. So I don't know if he just wants to have the interviews so he can talk about who did the best in the interview and or games, but I assumed that was a slip up. After Tempoh scores first, Nwpo scores 4 straight. Just barely over a minute in. He is certainly the kind of player, maybe more than any other, that can snowball and make a series look really out of hand. He loves to play so fast and can just pepper goals on your net over and over and over again. 5-1 with a minute 30. On the line for Tempoh is a $100 prize if he's able to get a series win against Nwpo. Nwpo ultimately competing for the $1,000 across all 10 matches against Mawkzy. Tempoh has a chance in the air. Nwpo knew it and he tried to pre-jump it. Tempoh wisely did not follow the ball after the first touch. He just said, you know, if you think you're this good at pre-jumping, I'm just going to let you try. If you hit it, sure. I can still probably rotate back and make a play off of your strong touch. And if you don't hit it, then it's going to be really, really easy for me to follow this one up on the ground instead of having to try and do it through the air. As Tempoh now going to relinquish control of this ball. Pass it over to Nwpo, who's not the kind of guy you want to have to play against when he has the air dribbles. Nwpo flick top shelf, doesn't connect, and Tempoh making sure to flip through as the bump lands on his nose in order to make sure that he does not go flying out of position and stays generally where he can make a play. He's going to get a demo and set up whatever he wants on the other side of the field. It's going to be a sidewall air dribble reset around ceiling heights, falling down. A second reset for fun? Or did he not get the first one? I mean, I'm not the best in the world at reading the resets, but it really felt like he got the first one. Why not get another one, though? If only you could stack them up. Tempoh's shot puts him within one. Tempoh looking for a high flick. Ooh, this pinch might go straight in. 5-5. Nwpo trying to control it. You could see that late bit of boosting to make sure he did not land inside the net, and ultimately I think fell a little bit too in love with the wall dashes, trying to dash on each curve. Got him a little bit lost and unprepared to make the right 50. Tempoh 6-5. Forces this 50 off the sidewall and puts a kickoff on target. This is a late game lead for Tempoh, something he did not see at all against Mawkzy. Credit to him. We've actually seen so far in this tournament, I was expecting anyone. Ooh, nice pinch by Nwpo across the whole field. Even Tempoh has to drop on the nice one. Tempoh looking like he was maybe going to try and swing around this ball, set something up. No, Nwpo just launches a pinch across the whole field. Makes it 6-6. Nwpo soft touch to himself and then chips it right out the top. Now soft touch to himself. He is the only one on the field, but I mean, he didn't go for the backboard. He didn't go for anything else except for a setup right to himself on the ground where you can chain it with a quick jump to get over the top of Tempoh. Now, tough angle to try and score with. Nwpo's instead going to play keep away. And he's going to play keep away again on this second double. Just does not want Tempoh to get a touch, and eventually gets to shoot on his own nets, or his open net, I should say. Tempoh thought after the first flick he was going to have a chance to intercept. Nwpo kickoff goal, going to make it 9-6. Since the tie game, he's been able, actually I think even Tempoh might even had a lead at 6-5. So it might be 4 straight for Nwpo. Tempoh needs a lot of offense here in the final minutes. It's going to take some kickoff goals as well, and it'll start, though, with a nice double off the backboard. Nwpo creeping out of net with 36 boost. Gets all the way to 48 and is actually defending shadowed, staring directly at his back wall. Maybe because he felt like he was going to have a better read, or a better chance at making a play, but Tempoh gets around him. And this is the kind of kickoff that Tempoh can't afford. I think he needs pretty much direct wins towards Nwpo's net, where he starves him out and keeps him low, and then eventually converts. Those usually take about 15 or so seconds. He'd be able to get a couple of them to tie it up. Instead, Nwpo's been able to get boost immediately, and it's probably just going to result in enough midfield play that this game is over. Nwpo trying to take it back into his own corner. And I'm not sure if he wanted to go with the soft touch or not, so that this was available, the hook shot to punish Tempoh if he dove in, or if he meant to just actually go all the way back to the corner. But that ended up being the perfect position where he could easily read if Tempoh is going to dive, he can punish him. And if he's not, you can just let it roll out. 10-7. A much better game, number one, from Tempoh than I think we saw from him against Mawkzy, as Nwpo tries to go for some power slide freestyling on the ground. Wait just 1 second. Wait just 1 second. Or maybe 3. Delay? No, actually a huge win, but that takes too long. Yeah, it's probably never going to happen. Game 1 goes to Nwpo. Game number 2. Nwpo and Tempoh. Nwpo, oh, the delayed flick. Maybe that shot would have been out. Tempoh actually does force it in. But certainly one Tempoh should not beat himself up too much about. He's got to try and contest these, otherwise he's going to be in big trouble. Does result in a first goal within 7 seconds. So much about those first possessions. Zap dash recovery from Tempoh. Nwpo still able to get back and stop the quick shot. Tempoh gonna pass to himself. Oh my goodness, look at this shot. It's impressive, it's fast, but it's actually maybe even slightly readable how fast he played it. Nwpo able to make that save. I still think it's probably huge credit to Nwpo's defense that he's able to recognize what Tempoh was up to and get to that side of the net quickly. Nwpo chaining some dashes actually makes him threatening on the back wall for a demo, keeping himself supersonic. Tempoh has to worry about that. Nwpo, man, this is his classic gameplay. He just does not want to give up on the ball ever. Even when it seems like he left for a moment, he just turns right back onto it. And you can see Tempoh, you know, the wheels turning, kind of like, just wait a little bit longer. Just a couple more seconds and I'll finally get the space I need. I just keep holding on to possession and Nwpo will eventually back off. Well, he finally has it. And oh no, you can't do that. You have to be able to convert when you do get that space. Tempoh gets a nothing burger flick and allows Nwpo the other way to make it 2-0. Nwpo is so annoying to play against, you'd know from experience. Type 1 in chat if you know from experience that Nwpo is very annoying to play against when you were playing him in ranked ones. Tempoh, ooh, just the perfect soft touch to get it over the top. You can see Nwpo on 0 boost, looking to either go off the side wall or off the top of the nets. Tempoh, perfect pace. Nwpo boxing Tempoh out here on the recovery. I'm not sure how much it ended up mattering. If I watch from his POV, he's trying to stick around on 0 boosts. Yeah, probably relevance. Oh, nice read of the fake kickoff from Tempoh. Should just be a freebie. Do you rotate who plays the challengers first? Yeah, we had been doing that. I've been trying to go back and forth. The funny thing is I was worried about like having to play someone second would be easier after they just got, you know, maybe trounced in the first one and their spirits were down. I thought, oh no, second game, they're going to want to just phone it in or whatever. That actually hasn't been the case. In practice, players have played better in their second games after losing in the first. But either way, yeah, I've done my best. In general, oh my goodness. Nice catch and double jump from Tempoh. They've been 10 gifted, Sweaty. Much appreciated. I'll either have Nwpo go first sometimes because it's later in his time zone, or if either one of them say they want to go first and seem to care about going first, then I'll just let them. It's kind of how I've been doing it. So today, Mawkzy mentioned he wanted to be going first and seemed to care about it more than Nwpo did, so Mawkzy just went first today. Tempoh almost able to score and tie it up. Nwpo, his flick forces Tempoh onto the back wall. And he is keeping ball cam on this dribble to be able to see around it. And now ends up throwing that flick that just isn't going to cut it in a match against guys like this. And now he's a little bit frustrated. He didn't pick up that corner boost. You can see no movement from him as Nwpo walks it in the other way. Delayed kickoff. And now Nwpo looking for the kind of double that we saw Tempoh going for earlier. One that he wasn't able to hit. Nwpo doesn't hit it either. Tempoh missed his shorts. Nwpo's going to miss his long. Tempoh, nice movement on this one. He is keeping himself within striking distance here against Nwpo. All the way to the end of the game. That's what he was able to do in game number 1 at least. The only reason I pointed out now is because it's really not the case in his matchup against Mawkzy just a moment ago. Flick top shelf. Pinched with the crossbar perfectly from Nwpo, this time soft touch, as he probably hoped to be able to stick around it and make a play. Nwpo doing his best to be a wall on 0 boost, but can't last forever, or maybe he will, as Tempoh misses on this one. And has to start it up again. Tempoh trying to go quick enough to never allow Nwpo to leave and grab boost, but he took a little bit too long and allowed Nwpo to kind of wind up a challenge without too much worry. Nwpo save, counter. Oh my goodness, he's not going to score on it. You can see Tempoh almost looked like he was trying to tilt out, but he saw it lined up and it was quite off. It's okay. Never mind, we're still in this. Pogo just puts a soft shot towards Nwpo. Minute left to go. He just needs to come out on top of this possession that we've seen go back and forth. He'll get himself a tie game and maybe a bit of overtime. Reset from Tempoh. Nwpo decides not to challenge. Tempoh waiting it out. And Tempoh hasn't had the answer. I mean, he might just need to go a little bit more cringe. He's had Nwpo and Mawkzy just waiting on the goal line for him, testing to see what he can do to stop them. Nice fake here from Tempoh. And he'll make it 5-5. Nwpo launched this one up directly into Tempoh's control. And he was just recovering so late. This is why the fake works so well. Full supersonic speed all the way from midfield. Could not afford to slow down. Otherwise, he would not make it back in time. Kickoff win for Tempoh. Huge kickoff win. A possession in his favor. Trying to go into that top corner. Nwpo able to cover it. Defending from the back wall. Nearest it. Now 15 seconds left to go. This flick is in. And a lot of these quick plays just haven't been going Tempoh's way. Nwpo playing it on the ground when Tempoh backs off. And reading those challenges perfectly. 15 seconds delay kickoff from Nwpo. Has boost and ball at the midfield. Can he ice it out? He will. The reset shot past Tempoh on the back wall. Tempoh maybe able to tie it. But Nwpo able to clutch up. So hard to defend when Nwpo is able to place that as far away from Tempoh as possible, forcing him to defend across the net instead of being able to use that backboard. Maybe one for the road for Tempoh, but game number 2 is going to go to Nwpo as well. Game number 3. Tempoh and Nwpo. Can Tempoh bring it back? He's going to open up game 3 with a demo. And how we decide to convert on it. He's not going to go all the way back to his own half. He's going to play a little bit of the ground game. Hook shot to Nwpo's net. Nwpo gets the first save, which isn't a problem as long as Tempoh finds a way to score eventually. And my goodness, this pinch will do it. I thought he was about to lose control as he was on the wrong side of the ball here, but one little pinch puts it in the perfect spot on the top of the arena and the back wall for it to just drop down directly in front of the net. Nice outplay by Tempoh. But he might need to build up even more of a lead to feel any sort of security. Nwpo. Air dribble sent to the back wall. As he tries to reset. Tempoh looking to do his best with boost. I'm not sure why he would flip off and hand this ball to Nwpo. He's got to know that this is just giving a goal away. Especially when Nwpo is nowhere near him. He's been so passive at times, backing up all the way to the back wall. And yet Tempoh allowing him to get away with it. Ooh, frustration you could see on the missed wave dash. Front flipping. And he knew that that was the difference. Late flip from Nwpo and then a delay. Also front flip as well. So not the standard kickoff you see from that position. Nwpo's been able to handle Tempoh's aerial game with ease. We were watching that one from Nwpo's POV. Kickoff possessions, though, and kickoff direct goals have been way increased here for Tempoh in this series. And it can always breathe life back into a game that feels like it's been rough. This one was threatening to slip away, especially with the context of how the day has gone for Tempoh so far. Nwpo, though, so speedy. Even in these moments in the midfield, which just feel like standard 1v1 play, especially on 7 boost as well. Nwpo is just finding ways to get perfect touches and stick with the ball. Against every other opponent Tempoh's played against, he usually expects to grab boost and eventually starve out, grab a possession, and probably get to attack the other way, but Nwpo's always looking to get something in. Now a little bump and a missed dash, and that's going to be another open net for Nwpo. Just finding ways to get goals. Three-goal lead now for Nwpo. He's going to start an air dribble headed all the way to the left wall and find a way to bring it back on target, but not strong enough to get a shot out of it. He'll steal away Tempoh's potential shot attempts. And what a wave dash setup. Instantly on the ball for another reset, make it 2. It seems like Nwpo's turning up the freestyling. I think we saw a little bit of that from Mawkzy. The problem with Nwpo is he can turn up the freestyling and you cannot even notice. It could look like he's still doing everything he can to beat you and hitting everything left and right. That hasn't been the case yet, though. As Tempoh, great little first touch to kill the bounce and give him a perfect roller that he will hook shot bottom left. Another kickoff that Nwpo has to deal with. Makes the first save. Nice shot from Tempoh. Gets around the ball and makes sure to get the movement that he needs, that side-to-side movement to make Nwpo's line off target. Nwpo's had enough of losing kickoffs. He's not going to go to this one. Just going to let Tempoh have the boost on the ball. He faked it in a way that we've never really seen before, though. He switched the field and went to the other side, and it's still going to pay off. Tempoh had 100, had the ball in the corner, but hasn't found a way to score from there. And so he ends up giving possession away fairly quickly. And Nwpo straight down the field converts. Tempoh pre-flip. Maybe trying to go for 2 resets. He did get Nwpo to fall into nets. And he heard the pre-jump, so he tried to chip it around over the top of him to play keep away. Nwpo was still fast enough to make contact. A couple different fakes here before Nwpo brings the ball on top of his car, and now he's going to go what I thought was for an air dribble bump, but no, he'll go 50 instead. And that is not going to end up working out for him as Tempoh makes the save and gets the counter. It felt like when you get that ball as controlled as Nwpo does, and you get someone to back off and start shadowing towards the net, to become such a likely victim of an air dribble bump. But I thought for sure that's what we were going to see. Oftentimes, those air dribble 50s seem to do well when players have to fly across the nets and get a touch that's not straight through the offender, and then the 50 ends up paying off. That's when Nwpo does it a lot. Ooh, almost the perfect bounce. He will get the follow-up. 6-6. It seems harder to win those 50s in those slow plays where the shadow is set up and ready to force the ball out. Tempoh reset pre-flip. Drop directly into Nwpo's control. He has just been converting on what feels like every single one of these. And he'll do it again. Here is what I'm talking about. Nwpo is going to go for the air dribble bump in this very similar situation. This is a bit of a speedier dribble than he had the last time, but he did have a directly shadowing Tempoh, and he looked to take advantage of that. Nwpo going to make it 8-6 as he wins a kickoff. Both of them trying to force the ball right. Nwpo just able to stay centered, stay on the ball a bit better. This is a must score, I would imagine, for Tempoh. After a kickoff win, has the resets, is going to fake the flick and let it bounce in. Great fake. Even Nwpo drops him the nice one. Tempoh put himself in a great position where if he pulls the trigger on the flick, he can launch it to the top shelf with pace. And if he doesn't, he can let it drop down and bounce in slowly. Nwpo didn't know which one to go for. Ends up getting faked out. Minute 8 left to go. Tempoh scored my must-score shot, so I have faith in him still. Just doinked it to the other side of the field, and gave Nwpo possession. How much will he do time wasting? We've seen both our potential world champions be willing to time waste with leads. We know Mawkzy has done it a bunch, but Nwpo's done it here and there as well. He's going for a ground pinch to put it towards the nets. Gets pinched away. Nwpo not letting it leave this half as he cuts it off early. Really try and go make something out of this one again. No, he's going to back off as Tempoh needs to find a way to reduce how often he is getting heavy touches away from his possession. Sometimes they're forced, but it feels like here and there he might have been able to control it a bit better instead of letting Nwpo dictate everything. When he has the ball under his control, he is essentially never giving it back for free. This flick is wide, and that means Tempoh has the ball. Has ball cam on this dribble. Air dribble bump attempt. Not going to work. He needs to force the ball directly in. Pops it up high. Nwpo on 0. Going to fake. Tempoh gets underneath it, but he's forced to tap it away. And it will be a sweep for both the potential future champions against Tempoh, as they've started to heat up here in the road to Nwpo versus Mawkzy. Let's go look at the scoreboard. Let's announce who is about to play. 3-0 for Nwpo as well. We have 2 matches left. 2 matches left. Mawkzy is 1 series ahead. So, these last 2 could be very, very important.